Welcome back, everyone. Our third session to JPACT, we were kind of going through at ease about understanding the QA market and how we need to learn into automation to be able to succeed in the current market. And we were speaking about how we need to build a solid QA career based on where you are. And all the calls, all the discussions that I've been having with JPACT or to be members is about identifying where you're fitting in team and what works best. So I was speaking about what you should need to learn and so on, each user segmentation. We've kind of profiled and we'll continue to add more. But primarily, it should talk about how your approach should be. Now, in today's session, let's dig into a little bit more about a few sample resumes and how interviews have to be handled. Team, this is a very important topic. So, um, let me create one document, and the whole crux of this document are three things, Tim. You have your resume. Everyone with me, please focus on this a few minutes. It may seem very basic but very critical. Then in the resume you have your projects, and finally you need to speak about them. These are the only three things that are applicable, team. Remember this. There is nothing else that is important. Can everyone else hear me? Because I'm getting one message, two messages, that one message that you cannot hear me. Everyone can hear me. So please check at your end. I'm just typing in a message. So, all right. Now, resume, projects, and how do we speak about them? This becomes the most critical aspect of how we have to address ourselves, team. Now, let's talk about resume and the structure of it. Then we'll talk about project and how we speak about them. That's it. These are the three important things. So, team, um, today is the third day for JPACT team. We had one yesterday, we had one on Thursday. So 3 sessions, it's third session. So your resume typically, if you take it any resume, and let's not think about, I will show some sample resumes in the next session, but let's look at the structure of a resume. What does it contain typically? It starts with something like a summary of who you are in 2-3 sentences. Then we do career highlight, bullet, your I lost words for a second, team. Give me a minute. All right. So career highlight is primarily every significant skill and achievement. So you've kind of kept achieving in your career or your education background certain things, then you want to kind of put them there. Then you have your educational summary or educational background. What did you study? And you had your employment summary. And then you have all your project works. Fair enough, everyone? So summary in a couple of sentences, for example, how do we typically write? 7 years experienced QA professional. And I'm not talking about good writing and bad writing yet, team. I'm just talking generic writing. Okay, this is kind of a decent one to begin with. QA professional with deep expertise in automation testing using Selenium Java, and expert at building test automation frameworks. Now, team, this 7 is a variable count. Okay, do not worry about it. That could be 7 or 5 or 1 or 15. But for any one of you, everyone, can you all respond back to me in chat saying, is this a comfortable one that you want to put in your resume? Are you comfortable as a summary? Because see, there are 2 or 3 key highlighted words. 7 years QA experience or any X years of experience QA profession, anyone will put. Deep expertise. This is a highlight word. It is not expertise. We're not saying strong, but very deep. Using Selenium, Java, and expert at building test automation frameworks. So this talks a lot. If you're not comfortable, then get ready to become comfortable. You must guaranteely put it there, not because everyone looks at it, because I want you to believe in that fact. Okay, how do you get that deep expertise? How do you build that test automation frameworks? This is very, very critical, team. Now, in the career highlights, so this is one sentence. You can also say worked across e-commerce, ERP. I'm just saying a few team, BFSI, and retail domains. And I would also like to add one thing about myself, which brings me a solid qualification of why am I a great IT professional, but also why am I a great QA engineer or QA professional. Curious, innovative, and motivated team player. And team, don't take these words and just try and put them. You put them, then you mean them. Every word in your resume must have a strong depth in it. If it does not, then I will help you prepare on that. That is what we're saying. Worked across BFSI, ERP. See, if you spend 7 years, you may have at least touched a couple of them. See, curiosity is one of the most, trying to be curious about what is happening with the SDLC, with the agile methodology, with the scrum meetings, with who is who are important, curious with why customer is angry, why are there so many issues coming, curious about what is wrong in current testing process, what can we do, curious about why application is working right and not. Keep on, that curiosity is one of the key drivers, team. Innovation is very simple. I'll tell you what is innovation. Listen to my words about innovation, team. If I get you, for example, there's one person called Thampi in the audience right now, Thampi Chiva. If Thampi joins my team today, in this is 2019, I expect Thampi to perform at X amount of level. Next year, do I want Thampi to work at the same X amount of level? No. So the atmosphere may not bring innovation. The organization or project may not sometimes, but innovation comes from the human themselves. So they want to, grow. They want to learn more, and so on. And another thing that I would love to put as a summary, team, typically is a ardent learner and participant in current market tools and trends through How do I say? See, how do you get this team? Look at this next sentence. You're seeing we're going one sentence after the other. If I want to know about someone, the summary should tell me. Lot of times I look at the summary and I do not even have the time to go through the entire resume after that. Okay, fair enough. Why? Because summary should say everything about me. I know what you're good at. I know that you worked in specific domains. You're talking about your own personal qualities and the fact that you're a good learner and participant. Now, why is it important, Tim? Learning and participation, especially see if you're in Java world or in a .NET world. Over the last 20 years, at least in Java world and so on, things have been almost constant from a programming concept. Nothing has changed in syntax and so on. More libraries, more users, more open source integrations have come in, but they have been the same. But in the world of software testing is the one which got exposed to the maximum number of tools and technologies team. I think the list of tools that a test engineer will look at in a period of 10 years will be phenomenal. And come automation, we also have talked about Java, Python, C Sharp, test engine, JUnit, all of this, correct? So in the space of QA, the learning is very critical. Now, to be able to learn, how do you participate? Okay, I'm a great learner. Can I sit at home and just learn? No, if I go to maybe Netflix at least and watch some documentaries, I will get some knowledge. And just for example, team, I personally believe I'm a great learner, Karthik. Okay. And the reason is I just love learning anything new. If I have time, I would go and just sit and nicely learn. The other day I was watching about this Chernobyl disaster that happened in Ukraine, southern Russia, like 30 years back, and how this entire project was done to seal it, and how immaculately it's been planned for about 10 odd years and executed for 5, 6 years to finish it. Amazing, huge, humongous project. So see, that is learning. Wow, you want to learn about something. If I see something new, I immediately do a Wikipedia. I don't try and leave it there. So either I know about something or I'm not aware. And that makes a constant cycle. In the world of QA, these aspects are important. Now, how do you participate? You can participate through trainings, boot camps, add some nice glamorous words, and conferences/events. Now, team, conferences, events don't have to be in person, or you go and you are a host or you have a booth. It can be you're a participant, or it could be online, or part of what we do with Workasa. The fact that these few sentences explain everything about one individual is very critical. I'm not very keen into specifics about what in Selenium, what in Java. So here is where I'll talk about built over a dozen, let us say, will be more modest, built 3 hybrid QA automation frameworks using, now you can write a few technologies. Okay, the summary is done. In this portion, you can write a little bit more lengthier. Sorry, what, like how the build, okay, using Java, TestNG, let's say, for example, this is one, and we're kind of putting this all together. Eclipse was my IDE. I used Maven for build Jenkins for my deployments and everything, continuous integration, continuous deployment. And I used GitHub and a bunch of other things. All right, that is critical. And then, okay, where is Selenium WebDriver? Using Selenium WebDriver. Now, if you have so built three end to end, and if you're strong at it, end to end hybrid QA automation frameworks. If you feel a little weaker about it, it's your early journey, then you'll avoid such keywords, team. Okay, because once you write this, you will get questioned on it, and you want to be prepared about it. Now, see, this is end-to-end hybrid. What is hybrid QA automation framework? Okay, yes, I'll talk about everything now. See how that career highlight should show up in a brilliant fashion, team. Um, 1 second. What is a hybrid automation framework? Okay, I have to explain it this way. There's no other way for me. Fresh paint, or just take a notepad if I can. There are few frameworks, team, in the world of automation testing. You take HP, QTP, UFT, or like the other Micro Focus UFT, Selenium, Catalan, Robot Framework, Eniot, any of this. The framework in testing is very similar. Okay, framework. What is a framework? Think of it. I'm just giving a 2 minutes overview of what frameworks are, team, and how we go about building them. Framework is like a skeleton. Okay, it just has all the sets of bones and how the orientation is. Every human will have a skeleton like this, and based on this skeleton you can make billions of humans. Just few changes here and there, but the whole structure is the same. I will be very bad at drawing another diagram, but bear with me. Now let's assume this is a dog. This framework is totally different. It is only used to build for dogs. So you cannot use this framework here or the other way. This will not work. That specification saying that I have a skeleton, I will put the parts into it, I will put the skin over it, I will put the color to it, texture to it, design it, and so on, is your implementation. But framework basically says that it comes with a certain constraints or boundaries which are very strong, tested, have been proven over time and time. For example, when we build a building, we basically build a framework. We will say how many floors we're going to put, and we break it down, and we add pillars everywhere, and we leave it as is, as a bare shell. Now first floor or ground, first floor may take it as a shopping arcade. The second floor may take it as something else, gaming. Third floor may take it completely, combining a few as restaurant or a club and sports club, something like that. You see what I'm saying? The customizations can matter, but the framework is the same. How we typically build a apartment or a commercial building and so on. That's the concept called framework. Now, how do we apply this into our automation testing? Let me talk about this. So in our world of testing or automation testing, team, we have a lot of things. The base of it is three qualifications, team: efficiency, reusability, and accuracy. Okay, what are we trying to do in automation testing? Move from manual testing to automation testing. To do this, there are a bunch of tools, programs like programming languages, Selenium web drivers, and whatnot of the world to make that happen. Now there are 100 ways to achieve this process. In every way, when I'm saying 100, I'm over exaggerating it, but there are multiple ways to do it. But there are three thumb rules that you have to look at. It must be efficient. What does it mean? If manual testing takes X amount of time, automation testing should take X minus time. It should be faster. It should take lesser number of resources to build and maintain over a period of time. If I build everything and over after 6 months, manual testing only needed 2 people to maintain. Now automation testing requires 5 people to maintain. It is not. So fewer resources. It should be fast. Oopsie. Fewer resources And over a period of time, it should be able to give you a return on investment. The fact that, okay, I spent time in coding, building this, it should pay back. And it is all about one of the primary concept called regression testing team. I'll talk about this a little bit in tomorrow's session. What is reusability? R is for reusability. You build it once and you use it multiple times. So the whole concept of trying to put things together into a central repository, like a variable. Say my username and variable is there. I have 10,000 or 1,000 test cases where my username and not and password is being used. If I have it individually return this in each of these 1,000 test cases, tomorrow if these change, how many places should I change it? 1,000 places, correct? If I centrally keep it in some shareable JSON, XML, Excel database, repository, wherever, or even a CSV or a text file, I can make it change in one place and it will reflect everywhere. That is reusability, team, the basic of it, where we are trying to make maintenance in the future very easy, where we're able to reuse whatever is there as and when. And tomorrow, if things change, we don't have to spend too much about it. The last is accuracy. It's fast. It has, it uses fewer resources, greater return on investment. You create reusable components so you can change it whenever, wherever. Maintenance is easy, but if it's not accurate or your trust is not too high on that solution, what will you do? At the end of it, when we are moving from development, a product or a project to, let us say, staging, testing, and then into production, we are moving it so that our confidence is building. At each time, if we are seeing more defects coming, will we move it into production? We'll say no, will not move it. But if we see that, okay, things are going better, we're able to get minor defects, and 98.8% we have a confidence statistically, then I'll say, okay, let's move ahead into production. We'll handle these few defects later as and when. So that accuracy and trust is important. If I move everything from manual to automation, where efficient, reusability, and accuracy is dipped down to 95%, I'm in trouble. It should be more accurate than manual testing team, because manual testers or humans can make defects or errors. Why? Because whenever we lose a focus on a specific task and so on, it happens. And we are not great at repetitive tasks sometimes. We're not robots. So things will tend to break loose. And that is when we need to ensure that we have a good hold over it. So that is the route from manual to automation. Now, the last one, team, I thought I'll be able to explain frameworks very quickly. Took a little time. Any questions so far? What I was explaining? I should have done it in fresh paint. You would have had a reference to these diagrams. What are the different types of automation frameworks, team? The first, and unless we go into them at a script level and write them, you will not be able to gauge the entire thing and start mastering it. Understand as a concept. First is a linear framework, team. Very simple. Test case says, click on, go to this website, click on this link for login, enter username, enter password, all the steps. We write one test case and write it. That is called linear. The next was something called as functional decomposition, where it said, okay, we will write a few functions for some of the most used activities and we'll combine them together. This is how it was building over a period of time. Remember this, team. I'm talking about 15 years and so on. Just give me a second, everyone, to take a little gulp of water. All right, sorry, I'm back. Functional decomposition, breaking it down into small functions, modules, call them as we can. It was still very basic, team. Then came something called as a data-driven framework. The whole concept of this was very simple. If I need to test a specific scenario, all right, let's say one test case, against multiple sets of changing test data and see how my results are, that is a data-driven framework. So, for example, if you talk about automobile industry, if you're trying to build cars, right, you'll do a speed test, you'll do a brake test, you'll do a mileage test. So each of them, you'll say, okay, if I'm driving my car at 50 miles per hour on a straight road and I'm at a third grade a gear at that time, then my mileage will be at about 12.5 miles per gallon. But if I'm going at 50 miles per hour and I'm at my fifth or sixth gear, then my mileage should be about 24 miles per hour. That is the expected result. So these kind of same drive we will do at 49 miles, 49.5, 50 miles per hour in actuality. The same thing we have to do it in online applications. What happens if we give simplest things is like, let us say a password field is there. There's so many checks and checkpoints for it in terms of it should not have any let us say it should not start with a number or a character. It should be more than 8, less than 16. So these kind of rules define it. So if I need to test that, I want to enter. If I enter this data, it should not pass. This data, it should not pass. This data, it should not pass. This data pass. This data pass. This data not pass. So that combination of test data that I give to run on applications, financial applications, mortgage applications, e-commerce, everything where data is sensitive, this becomes important. Then came keyword-driven framework. Keyword-driven framework primarily said that the concept of data-driven framework is great, but mostly applications have functionalities. Look at WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter, Google, any of these applications, they have so many modules in them. Each module must be broken down into some kind of understandable test scenarios. Okay, so one module, you break it down into test cases. And each test case is broken down into multiple test steps. What keyword driven framework says is I have steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I will combine these 3 steps and make that into a keyword. For example, I say user login. User login basically involves open the browser, go to the URL, click on login link, enter username, enter password, click on sign in button, confirm sign in has happened, verify that the logout button is there. These are the 7 steps in it. I want to use this in 2000 test cases because I have so many modules, so many test cases that use login. If I write it here, tomorrow that login process changes where it says username, password, you also have to put a location or some kind of a role, what you're signing in. You don't want to change it in 2000 places. You want to be able to centrally change it in one place, and that will be one keyword. So the ability to break down an entire application scenario and steps, all of this into multiple keywords and put them into a reusable library. Okay, and call them as and when we want. If the functionality changes, we'll change it here. I don't have to change it anywhere else. Then came a page object model or a page factory team. The concept is same, but the approach is different. And you will see people have complicated this a lot when it came to expressing it in um, Maven, Jenkins, Eclipse, and so on. Concept is very simple, team. Every application, at least web-based applications that we know, are built about pages, right? Each page has many elements in it, or in UFT terms, we used to call them as objects, these HTML elements like button, link, text, all of those. Every element needs to be one identified. Correct, team? I need to know how to identify it, either by ID, name, CSS, XPath, link text, partial link text, class, and one or two more. All right. And the second thing, with the elements, I also need to do some methods or action on it. I want to perform. So on a button, I can click on it. I cannot type on it, right? That is the right combination. Page object model page factor is saying, I will identify the objects and put it somewhere into another reusable library. I'll, I'm sorry. I'll identify these actions and link it with this keyword library and say that on a button, if I want to click, I have all this ready. A hybrid framework is nothing but a combination of all of these. All right, team. Sorry, to explain hybrid framework, I had to take you through these steps as to what it is. And in our training, we basically will go through each level, one after the other, write code at the very beginning, implement it. The complexity of the application is not important right now, team. How we develop a framework is very critical. All right. Any questions on that so far? Let's keep the screen again. And team, on iTeLearn, there's a webinar that we have on all about automation frameworks. So in fact, if you go to youtube.com/qtplearn, let me erase this and search for all about automation frameworks. This video will explain the same thing in a much more detailed way, team. So it should be a worth watch. Paste. Okay, back to what we were doing, where we were. Great. So career highlights. Now see, in my career highlight, I'll not leave it here. This is built end to end. I'm showing expertise. I am implemented Catalan Studio, blah, 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 whatever, let us say. All right. Trained on robot frameworks, or a better word for it is attended a 3-week boot camp on C frameworks with Python. Why are we doing all of this, team? And for a resume, always remember, who reads a resume? Can you tell me? Recruiter, thank you. Yes, next. Interviewer, okay. HR, yes. Technical folks. Deepa Subramaniam, great answer. Senior members in the team, yeah. Someone's saying spouse. We will read or no. Sometimes they may not even want to read. Sometimes they have to read. Hiring manager, yes. Who else, team? See, that is where I think fundamentally we all making mistakes. No one is able to figure this out yet. You are still not figuring it out. I'm not getting the answer. Who reads your resume? There we go. Jasveer, you're getting there. Deepa gave. Indeed does. Dice does. Career builder. All of this does. Your computer does. Your search by anyone does. Now let us say a team, for example, and in fact, I'm trying to find people in Las Vegas for a large QA engagement. And how would I go and find? Either I'll post an ad somewhere and so on, and automatically it'll filter, right? Make your resume keyword strong. Remember this. This is the only first tip in terms of your resume building team. There are at least 25-30 tips that you need to follow. You need to make sure that once you put it into job portals, how you update it on a regular basis. Please make sure you're doing all of this. And each of these things, team, we will be, and what we have not got into is creating your specific folder. Let me get that skill gap analysis and put it here. Master, come on. And I'll move it here. Move to, add to my drive, organize. Ting, 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 what was it? 2019 trainings, JPACT 9, JPACT orientation, 1 week move here. Okay, so this will be a key activity thing that you have to fill. Very important. It is not a fault finding exercise as to what you're good at or not. It is just a fact finding to know where you are and where we should take you and how we can take you. And that's the one-on-ones that we will have to do. But in your, let me write it here. In your G drive, a resume versions, that for sure, each and every project in a individual document with lot of content, screenshots, and typical interview questions. So we will keep going on this, team. How are we going to build on that? You will have your skill gap analysis. We will have the counseling notes as minutes of meeting. This will become our action items. So for all of those who have been doing that, I've been giving you the action items on what you need to work. Sometimes the action item from me is very simple, that attend in this training or attend that training. For some of you, I'm saying already like resume review and where, what, we're going in detail. Depends on where you are, team. And I'm giving advice according to that. Skill gap analysis, there'll be at least 3 reviews. Okay, first by you, again after every 3 to 4 weeks, 3 weeks, as projects move, projects/trainings move. So team, if you're having time, there is nothing like this program. If you're able to spend about 3 hours per day, this will be awesome. Counseling notes as MOM action items, yes. Oh, then there's a lot of things. There'll be some in terms of your training notes. So you will, as you attend training, I want you to start taking notes, team, and start putting them as to what you understood, and you have to keep referring them before. So this G drive is your single point of reference before any interview. I don't want you to go anywhere else. Then interview Q&A, some of it, just to make you feel better, team. I never do go through an interview. I mean, luckily I didn't have to go through too many interviews myself, but I don't go to interview Q&A because it disturbs my natural flow. My natural flows through the project is very good, and I want to retain that. But however, for some of us, our technical skills will be tested because we don't have so many projects to show. And that is where interview Q&A will be there. And team, do not assume that I will be doing all of this. You will be working on them. Question by question, you will create it for yourself. It's very easy to download from everywhere and put it. You download, you're reading through. You write it, you'll remember forever. So this, I thought, 1 second. Sorry, I'm back. So in your G Drive, this will become the most important thing for every JPACT member. This is the only thing that I will look at. This is the only thing that we will go through. It will be shared only with KK, that's me, and my QA team. My QA team who work with me in my organization. All right, will not be shared with anyone else. Okay, one question. All right. So any questions, team? It's like in continuation. We're still working on this. See, I've talked. So what we're trying to do is this is just bunch. So you'll have about 15, 20, and you should say best. You know, talk about defects. Talk about great networking with people, and there are certain things that are very good, specifically when it comes to IT industry team. Who do we like? Sometimes we don't find the greatest. So 1 second, everyone, I'm getting caught. Sorry. So, you know, when we look at teams, right? I may have a team of 10 people. Sometimes someone is not the technically smartest person, but they're the sweetest, they're the nicest, they're very passionate, they're compassionate, they're very caring, and they are hardworking. So all these qualities go long, team. Okay, they never die. Qualities above skill. So you need to be aware of them and consciously build on it. And for me, team, the minute I speak to anyone, the first few seconds, I'm able to get the gauge of it about, what are, how we are trying to get there. The biggest thing that you must take away fear. There is nothing we can do with fear, team. This is the most impossible aspect. Fear of a project manager, a lead, home, society, job get not. A fear should not be there. I'm sorry, team. I'm choking up a little on the throat. The fear from a survival and execution and what are we doing should be always there, but not from an external source. Fear must be always internal, that I fear that I won't do something. I should never fear that someone will do something. All right, you understand what I'm saying, team? You should always fear yourself, no one else on this planet. So the whole idea of why wouldn't put such strong words or so on is we are afraid of ourselves too much. Once you start understanding who you are and correctly put it, you will go with a smile to your interview, not with sweat on your forehead, team. And that will change things significantly. So we're getting there. Education background, nothing much to speak about. Employment summary is also very basic. Project, yes, we need to talk very well about project. Oh, sorry, how to speak. We'll talk about this. So project template is very simple, team. What does a project contain? Project works. Project, if you take project one, you'll say the client, start end date. All right. Role slash your title. Then you'll talk about the project overview. you'll talk about what is that the project is all about, and then you should explain about your day-to-day activities in the project. What is it that you have been doing? Then you speak about the skills, tools, technologies used. That's it. These day-to-day activities will be multiple bullet points. So how attend daily client scrum meeting, okay, or stand-up meeting, and participate with offshore for uh, Q activities, all the way to something very specifically I'll write in. I'll say design, build, and manage the automation framework. XYZ automation project or framework. Now, just about this, you can talk another 6 sentences about it. And we repeat this a few times for multiple projects. That's it, team. It's a very clear understanding. It's not that what I am saying so far is nothing new. Agreed, everyone? All we are saying is let's go in an approach where we are aware, very well planned. We will do everything correctly and let's go. So when we go in, we should be very confident. Okay, this is what I know. Employment summary, and then education background, trainings and certifications. Even these you can put it here, team. And career here, some like certified. Let us say ISTQB certified is one, for example. There's nothing like a known Selenium certified. Of course, there's Sun certified, Java developer, and so on. 1 second, team. Sorry, it's my throat. It's just choking on. But let's say if I even talk about something like NEOT, certified NEOT, come on, developer or tester. Now, when people don't know what NEOT is, in one sentence, without wasting anything on your resume, you should say why. Of course, for keywords, and also because summary will usually be read. Okay, who you are in 2-3 sentences, everyone tries to read this. Okay, so you won't get. If this is good, then that's great. Cover letters, we'll talk later, team. Cover letter is very personal, specific, but let's get the resume first. NEOT is a free test automation. Is an automation framework. Is an automation, a free automation framework built using Selenium, Java, whatever. Once you write that, it is adding to the whole thing, team. When you're reading, say, I'll ding, ding, ding. Okay. Now, what is this? I don't know what is this. When I don't know something in a resume and someone is explaining about it, I'll read one more line about it, team. It just says that, oh, this person has got some certification, and that seems to be something to do in a good fashion, built using Java, CI/CD, whatever. Okay, so this is very important for a summary. Variations of this is what you should look at. All right, everyone. We can add more tools here, but here you'll add a lot of tools like right from HPALM, Jira, Bugzilla, Trello, Rike, GitHub, Git, anything, team, that we're working on that can keep going into the career highlight. project is done. So how to speak, big topic, we'll cover a little bit tomorrow. Resume, we'll see some sample good and bad resumes tomorrow on this format: resume, projects, and speak. And on the projects, I want to talk about team. I will write one solid project tomorrow, show you how we can make sure everything is there into it. Any questions, everyone? I have one hand raised. I know it's very late for people in the East Coast. Sorry about it. I see one hand raised, two hands. So, hi Deepa, you have a question for me?
Yeah, hi. I was wondering, I just missed yesterday's session. Is it possible to get the recordings? And but is there a deadline for the sign up to?
No, there's no deadline for sign up. There's a tentative deadline for sale. My ending, my team kind of is busy, so they're not been able to finish it. That the team would know when it is. The videos, Deepa, are on the channel youtube.com/qtplearn.
Okay.
I'll put it here. So all that we get will be here. So if you scroll down and look at, and in fact, even iTeLearn.com, if you go to the free webinars here, must be Pawan must have put it, but it is there already.
Okay.
Yesterday's and the first one.
Okay.
So
Thank
this
you so
is
much.
one, and the second one was there. It was just uploaded. Sort by data at Invest is already sorted. Sure. All right. Swarnima, do you have a question for me?
Yeah, I have a question. So I was looking at the skill sheet, skill analysis sheet.
Yes.
I was wondering how can I get a hands on that because I really need to, do that. This looks really good thing to know exactly what I'm missing on.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. So what is your question, Swarnima?
So how do I get this sheet?
Didn't I share it with you already as a link?
I did not get a link. If I because I could not find it over the emails as well.
I am okay. Let me put these. See, the only thing with this is it will all be as part of the JPACT folder, and I'll
Okay.
put everything in that, these documents and so on.
And how will I access that JPAG folder?
For every JPACT member, we will be giving this access to this folder.
Okay.
But
And
you, one second, if you, for anyone who wants to use the sheet in terms of what skills and so on, let me at least share this link with you. Not edit, can view, copy link, and then you can copy it, paste it at your end also.
okay.
I just put it in the chat.
Yeah. Okay. So this is job placements indicate. I'm sorry.
Repeat your question for me, please.
So it is skill gap analysis. Okay, fine. I
Yes, this
cannot
is a
see
skill
it.
gap analysis sheet.
Okay. Yes, yes.
Yes. And this list will keep growing with a few more coming into it.
Okay.
Great. All
Okay.
right.
Yeah.
You have any other
No.
question? You good?
No.
All right. All right, great team. Anyone else questions? I'm seeing a few in chat. Let me quickly see if I can answer them. Will we have access to the JPAC training videos if we register only for the videos only training? See, JPAC training videos are nothing specifically separate. They are there even in the website. If you look at it, there are the specific JPAC videos. So, see, one of the things that we've been building as part of JPAC are these personality development trainings as well, and some of the half a day placement and so on trainings over there. So you wouldn't have access to the JPACT or the certification trainings through it. Every other training program, but not the total JPACT thing. That was a question. Another question, let me quickly take, please. Do non-members have access to the past two sessions videos? Yes. All these videos that I'm doing this week, I'm giving it for free, team. So you at least get to know what we're doing, what you could do with us, without us, and put a plan and keep going from it. Okay. These videos will all be in YouTube. Uh, do you do one-on-one for each member? As JPACT team, I do one-on-one for each member at least 4 to 5 times. The first one itself will get started. Every 2-3 weeks, I keep talking to them. Then I have to do a few with the team, my team, 1 or 2 of my QA masters here, to get you prepared. Mock interviews, suggestions, advice, feedback, guidance. So that's a constant activity. In the first 3 months, I see a lot of JPAC members interact a lot. After that, they're pretty much good. How do member access these folders? So what we do is after every training, we take those files, zip it and put it as part of your membership. So you will be able to go in and download as part of that specific training program. So for example, we are in JPACT, right? This is a JPACT training. Now the other trainings that I'm doing currently, each of these, as I finish them, I will zip the entire thing into one file and put it along with it. So you can start accessing as you're watching the videos. Any other questions, team? Okay, let's see. Is JPAC necessary for QA analysts with 10 plus years experience, or just videos are good? Videos should be good. See, learning is always by videos or live is absolutely perfect. As long as you need to get into doing projects, having a real hands-on experience that you feel comfortable, that you can put onto your resume and then take it into the market and do interviews, that is JPAC. If you're already in a job and you're learning automation as part of what your job requires or general career growth, just start with live training and videos. You can always upgrade later. That's not a problem as well. All right. Thank you, everyone. Take care. Bye. Now we'll see you tomorrow, same time. Sorry, I was very late today. In between my classes, I had to run out for a bit. See you again tomorrow, team. Thank you. Bye, all.